What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1, finally together again.
That's right. It took a while for reasons unbeknownst to y'all, unless you've been practicing your tribalism for Zeech Zangors, because that's where I was. I was taken by Zangors.
And they were hard, or it was hard to get them back. But when I finally did, I play Beastmen now. So
I have a beak. I have a beak somewhere because of that.
somewhere. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewers. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what Isaac Langdon did. He asks, who would win when all the Uncharted Catans working together or Chaos Undivided? So basically, who is stronger, Chaos or the Catan? And the answer is pretty simple, Chaos.
Yeah, for a big reason, and that is that for some reason or another, the ancient Catan, the star gods of old, are weak to the warp.
Yeah, if you read the lore of the Necrons, you'd find out that the Catans are basically just parasites. And they have no connection to the Imperium. However, they are considered star gods. But it really is just like they are... No, how would you say it?
They're beings of such immense power that they're akin to gods, but they're still mortal.
Yeah, and they're space entities, basically. They're not immaterial entities.
No.
So they are still bound by certain laws. However, the Catan also did give the Necrons the abilities, or the knowledge to break through like physical barriers and like breaking the laws of physics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it does not compare to like an actual demon.
Right. Which is crazy to think about. But I don't know. I always wish we would see this in action instead of just being told. Like to have some epic story of like the Nightbringer fighting against like Khorne or something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they're weak against Zeech, because they fought against them. And like they got like scars or some like backlash preventing them from being greater than the warp.
Yeah, that would be nice. And GW had the opportunity to do something like that with the Void Dragon.
Yes.
But they didn't. Typical.
Yeah. Because there's so much lore, so much speculation surrounding the Void Dragon. Is it the Omnissiah? Is it an uncharted Catan that the Admech, the Skitarii are praying to? They just kind of glossed over it.
Yeah. My question to you guys is like, and to you too, what is like one thing about the lore that just like you wish they would have added more to it, but they just stopped short? And then it's just you are left with like this desire to like, I want you guys to explain this more.
There's a lot that come to mind, such as like the Dawnblade of Farsight. What are its origins? Why is it created? The Golden Throne. But to me, I think it's got to be perpetualism. Why are there perpetuals? What makes a perpetual? And how does that really work? Because they talk about perpetuals in like Vulcan, the guy from the Cabal, John Grammaticus, and the freaking Emperor, but we never get any insight as to who, what, when, where, why.
Yeah. For me, it was always blanks. Like I felt like blanks were a topic that really could have been elaborated on, and then we started seeing them on the tabletop with the Sisters of Silence.
Right.
And you're starting to see it because I think there's a book now coming out talking about a blank or a pariah.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we get more in that book, but still, like...
Yeah, what else is in there, like in the 40K universe, that you just scratch your head and think, like, why didn't they continue talking about this? Yeah. Comment down below.
Let us know.
Next question.
This one is by a very awesomely named person by the name of Logan Douglas Giles. I don't know, I just like Logan. His question is, what is the most advanced form of communication within the 40K universe? So communication can vary from like basic voxes, which are just like kind of radios in a sense, all the way to telepathy. And I think telepathy is probably the best.
Yeah, that's how GW gets around, or that's how the lore gets around communicating like Fenris and Terra, when in reality, like it's light years away. So there is just impossible physically for that communication to exist.
Right. Even if they do like beacons and stuff like that, sometimes they don't see distress signals. So like weeks later, and like it's over. Like
yeah,
they needed help now, and it's like a month later, the world's gone.
Yeah. And then that's why and then the astropathic choir and like the big focal area on Terra is like where you get all the. It's basically just a station that receives all the astropathic messages, which is kind of cool. Very gothic too when you think about it. It's just a bunch of dudes sitting around like praying and being connected.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's like a motherboard, but with people.
Exactly. That won't be sacrificed yet.
This next question is by Yarshman. Are universal translators a thing in 40K, or do the Xenos and mutants speak Gothic dialects?
So the Eldar sometimes speak Gothic to the and to humanity, and you see it like in the Dawn of War trailers. They're speaking English, so then that can be translated as to like they're probably speaking High Gothic or something like that.
Yeah, but that's not always the case for every Xeno race. Like the thing that's always crazy to me is how do orcs just speak like Low Gothic?
That's true. Yeah.
They seem so alien, so like distant from like humanity, but they just innately know that.
The English, yeah. That's cool. And what do the Tau speak? Do you know?
Oh, they got their own language. I think it's just called Tau.
Oh.
But they do have translators. I think that's also what the Watercast is for.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense because they have like drones. It's an actual like sci-fi thing. I really like what Mandalorian did with the whole translation thing, because they did it with who was it? That frog person. Right?
Oh yeah, the frog lady. Yeah, but another thing with the Tau too, it's rumored that the helmets that the Vespid wear are translators.
Oh yeah.
But it's also rumored that that's a means of mind control.
Yeah, because the cool thing about the lore of the Vespids is that they actually think at a higher level than any other species. So when the Tau first encountered them, the Vespid actually thought that the Tau were just lesser, like mentally lesser. Like they had achieved a state of superiority in terms of the way they communicate with each other, that to them it was like, how you know how sometimes we watch ants and they communicate by like dancing?
Those are bees too, right?
Yeah, bees too, yeah. It's kind of like, that's very primitive, but like at the same time, it's not, because it's like a hive type of mentality. But,
Yeah.
I think I really enjoy that part about 40K when you deal with like the minor Xeno races and you have all these little intricacies. It's like, oh, cool. Vespids are mind controlled.
This question is by Pi. Could a Primaris chapter have or get access to Heresy-era dreadnoughts like Leviathans or Contemptors? Yeah.
Yeah, they're relics, so they get passed down, basically hand-me-downs.
Yeah. Or sometimes you might even get the rare chance of like them finding archaeal technology or having a weapon passed down from chapter master to chapter master. Or even like in the case of Calgar or Shrike, they get promoted to being Primaris and they already have these like relics on them. So.
Yeah.
Definitely doable. So just because you're playing a Primaris army doesn't mean you got to stick to Primaris only models.
Right. We actually have a friend that does that, right? He has a Contemptor. And it looks fine.
Yeah, I mean, it fits the aesthetic.
You know, at first I didn't like the Primaris dreadnoughts, but now I want one and I can't find one.
Yeah, they're really hard to come by.
Yeah, I think they were in a box set too, but now the only thing that is like in a box set is the other one, the one that's like, it's not really a dreadnought. It looks like a dreadnought, but it's
the one that's got like the cage.
Yeah. Something out of Aliens. This next question comes from the Hot Dog Champion. Have you ever tried not reading straight from the wiki? Yeah, so if you check out our daily life, our horrible realities, and then I have where we have battle reports, we have custom lore, and something that always happens, and it's a bummer, but like those videos don't get as much views.
Right.
So it's like if we give you guys the source directly, that's what people are here for. So
yeah, because I've been talking about like tactics, rules, news that comes out from like the Warhammer community page. Yeah, you guys want to hear the 40 facts.
Yeah, that's why like building an audience on whatever platform it may be, you kind of have to cater to those people. And like if you want to be creative, you can try to be creative and hopefully you'll get lucky. But most of the time, like you are on a highway and like if you stop it's like no. Because YouTube doesn't like that.
Yeah, I really liked your building series, like the what is it? Blessed is the mind too small for doubt.
Yep.
That's really amazing, and it's like these should be getting more views, but it's like,
Yeah. So that's why we kind of have to be strategic of how we organize things and what we post and when we post it. But yeah, if you guys see content that you like, hit the like button because it actually does help.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We've got some things in store coming your way that we've mentioned on the channel, such as the Crusades.
Oh yeah.
So if you guys go back and check out like the Kill Team battle reports, hopefully that'll get more people, checking those out and then be more excited for Crusades when they come out.
Yeah, that was a thing too, and the smaller narrative campaigns are really fun for us to make.
More time consuming.
And they would get 1,000 views.
Yeah.
So it's like I can read about like the Quark. Well, the Quark video actually did put effort into it, but like I could read about like, I don't know, the Blood Angels and get 10,000 views, or I can spend 2 weeks editing this and get 1,000 views. Obviously, I chose the Blood Angels.
But if you guys want to see these, like, I guess the stuff not on the main path, give it some love. Share it with your friends. See if they also like this, because you might learn how to build a floating mountain.
Yeah. For D&D too, because I use it in D&D and it was a lot of fun. That's another thing we tried to do. We tried to do D&D content for a while. That didn't do well.
No. Yeah, because even lately I put out a video on Mandalorian. I figured, Star Wars, it's similar to 40K, but it only got like 1,000 views after 4 days. So it's like, put out some 40K content and we get like 1,000 views in a few hours.
Yeah.
Algorithms.
The gods, the YouTube gods. This next question comes from First Name Last. Are there medics in the 40K universe? For example, we have the corpse in the Marines, or corpsmen in the Marines. Also, for troops that end... Well, we'll read that in a second. Or no, actually. Also, for troops that end up maimed and lose a limb, are they all universally guaranteed implants or prosthetics? So, I guess we could answer the first one.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Apothecaries for Space Marines. Medics for the Imperial Guard.
And then for the Sisters of Battle, you have the Hospitaler, however it's pronounced. Pain Boys.
Pain Boys.
For orcs.
Do Tau have anything?
Manning Up.
They just die. It's like close combat. All right, you're dead.
It's like, I'm going to put my hand on my hilt. They die automatically.
I feel like there's a Forge World model that's like a drone, isn't it? Like a medical drone?
There's a repair drone, but it's mostly for like vehicles and battle suits. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they're out there. And your second question, if you're maimed or lose a limb, if you're a Space Marines, yes, you're going to get a prosthetic. But if you're an Imperial Guardsman, it depends.
Because they're not just going to spend all this time research, manufacturing, money spent to give you a bionic arm when you're just a grunt.
That's true.
They'll probably just say, get better with your left arm and go out there.
And then also, like, it depends on the battlefield, because there's the orc headhunters are, I mention them a lot because their lore is really badass, but they're out in the jungle. So if they lose a limb, they're not going to get any prosthetic. They're going to have to put like some type of hook or something. And that's how they're going to keep fighting.
Yeah, that's true. So you don't have time to worry about your arm. You can die the next second.
Yeah. And then you hear, whoa! Because orc headhunters.
Like, híjole, my mom's here to pick me up.
Sorry, guys, I gotta leave. Next question.
This one's by Darth Vegeta. What would happen to the Imperium if the God Emperor was still running things? I guess probably the same thing as like the heresy, or before the heresy. They would try to get more Imperial worlds under their control, try to unify the Imperium as a whole, maybe expand.
I wonder, because I've always thought that the Adeptus Mechanicus allying with the Emperor was kind of, it was never elaborated on, because there's no way that they would have just continued to accept it for 10,000 years. I think the reason that the Adeptus Mechanicus is still with the Imperium of Man is because of the fact that they have so much freedom. So I wonder if the Emperor would have pulled back on that freedom for a lot of these Forge worlds, and Belisarius' Call and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah. So if he was still around, maybe a civil war between the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Imperium, but...
Yeah, and that's scary considering how close in proximity the two, like, core worlds are.
Yeah.
Like Terra and Mars are literally right there.
Yeah. How awesome would it be if there was a story of like Mars teleporting itself away from the Sol system, and then it becomes like the Dark Mechanicus' haven world. So then you have Mars, but you have it in a completely different sector. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think the Beast was one of the in the Beast book, he can actually teleport planet-sized objects, which is crazy.
That's just crazy to think about.
Next question.
This one is by Demon Arc. Do you think the Men of Iron will come back, hopefully bigger and badder than ever? And if so, do you think that between them and the Necrons, who would win in a ground battle?
So, I don't think they're going to come back in full force. They are already back in, like, games.
Yeah, because we've seen that one robot in Blackstone Fortress. But if they do come back and they fight against the Necrons, I got to give it to the Necrons, hands down.
For sure.
Yeah. Because when you think about it, like, think of, like, Terminator, like, those type of, like, machines fighting against the Necrons. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see them winning any which way.
Right. I think a good competitor for the Men of Iron would be the Tau
Yeah.
technology. They're kind of at the same level. The Necrons they don't even have souls anymore. They were creatures, real living creatures, and now they're what is it called? Yeah, nanoscarab built multi-organisms. Well, they're not organisms, but yeah.
Right. Because when you think about it, like, Necrodermis is like little tiny, like, creatures?
Bugs?
Cositas?
Yeah. They tickle you when they walk.
Ooh.
That was Ferrus Manus' whole thing with his hand, right? Like he could regenerate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question comes from Zachary Reaper. Same question, but for the Navy. Do the Imperial Navy crewmen retire, like Ratlings and the Voidsmen and such? Yes. So same thing as the Imperial Guard. Some of them do retire, others stay on the ship. It really depends on how, how eager you are to move up in the ranks. If you're going to get hired as a Voidsman and you just want to, like, get money and explore the world, then that's all you're going to do. But if you're actually trying to, like, better yourself, find, like, or become a captain yourself, then more than likely, yes. Eventually, you could retire if you don't die.
Right.
And if you don't get backstabbed, because the Imperial Navy is the same. Or no, it's worse than the Imperial Guard in terms of backstabbing. Yeah.
That's interesting. This one's by Ricardo Gray. How powerful is a senior tech priest or a tech priest dominus in the lore? Because on the tabletop, a tech priest dominus can pretty easily kill a space marine.
They're very tough. Like, in the lore, they're not as physically tough as, like, a space marine. However, they have legions of Skitarii. And they also have, like, half of them aren't even, like, 50% or like 70% human anymore.
Yeah, they're like all robot at that point.
Yeah.
And you also got to remember that these are the guys that are like super smart and they build machinery, weapons, armor. They know the ins and outs. If you're fighting against a space marine, you probably should know what point of their armor is the weak point, how to shoot a gun in a way that's going to make it malfunction and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they're dangerous. And yes, on the tabletop, I do enjoy the fact that my tech priest can crush an entire unit of space marines. He never moves, but yeah. Next question.
Thomas Taylor. How does the Imperium survive? Because the way I see it, the Imperium would fall to so many civil wars that it isn't even funny. They have piss poor leaders from what I can tell.
The art of self-governing is what keeps them afloat.
Different worlds require different people, different ways of ruling. So it's not just one type of government spread across the multiple worlds of the Imperium. Like you said, there's different planetary governors. If you're a farming world, it's gonna have different population, different statuses, different weather, and that's going to require different types of jobs, etc. So that takes a different type of government than, say, like a hive world.
Yeah, because I feel like nowadays most governments in like today's world are very like they want to be a strong centralized government, even though they pretend not to be, which is kind of foreign to us. But like if you ever watch any historical documentaries about like the Roman Empire, they were kind of the same as the Imperium, where like you had Rome, and then all these other places had their own governors, had their own people, and like they would only have to answer to the core of Rome society, which was like whatever they're called, praetors or whatever.
I believe so, yeah.
But yeah, so it's the art of controlling someone, but at the same time being hands off.
Right. Usually, as long as you pay your tithes, they're gonna ignore you.
Right. And there are situations where planetary governors would go like cycles without paying their tithes, and then eventually the Adeptus Administratum responds, or the High Lords of Terra. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah. As always, this has been the newly rejuvenated Sound Alchemist.
And Gershwan, the same old Gershwan.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation. I knew I never had that much to lose.